Alright, welcome to a screencast of how do I use LoggerPro, a basic edition. And in this screencast, I'm going to show you the very basics of LoggerPro, including labeling the data table and axes of a graph, labeling the graph itself, scaling the graph, and there's a few different ways to do that. There's an auto scale feature, and you can manually scale it, and then also best fit analysis stuff, which we've perhaps done already. So let's get started. First of all, to change, and this is the first thing I'd recommend doing, is change the data table. And if you hover over X, it says double click for column options. So I'm going to double click there, and it brings up this box. This is what you type in your information. I recommend changing name, short name, and units, and this is for the horizontal axis of your graph. And so, for example, it could be a time axis. The short name or the variable name would just be lowercase t, and the units are seconds. So I type that stuff in and click done. What you should notice is up here it changes to time, so you know everything in this space are going to be time values, and they've got to be in seconds. And it automatically changes down here also, which is a nice feature. I'm going to do the same thing for the Y direction. Double click on the Y, and I'm going to call this position. Let's call it X. That would indicate a horizontal position. The units are meters. Again, it fixes it up here and also on the graph. So that's a nice feature. You shouldn't have to label the graphs on your own ever. Now for data entry, you could just type some stuff in. I'm going to, so we have some examples to talk about. And I've just typed in data. One of the nice features about LoggerPro is as you type in the data, it automatically populates in the graph. So it's a nice thing. And you can see all these dots. If you want to create a name for your graph, you should be able to double click on the graph itself, and it brings up graph options. So you could give it a name if you want, horizontal position versus time, and it'll give it a title. Now, that's a nice additional feature. You don't usually have to do that in my class, but if you like titles, then that's how you do it. The next feature I'm going to talk about now is auto scale. So changing the scale of the graph so you see what you want to see. This button right here auto scales. So if you click it, it auto scales. It changes the up and down scale and the side to side scale to hopefully show you everything you want to see. So I clicked on auto scale, and that is usually a pretty good start. If you want to see a little more, you can see maybe a data point just right there, but I want to extend it. I can click. Right now I'm hovering over the 6, and then it says click to edit the max value. I could type in a new number like 10, so I'm going all the way up to 10 seconds. You can do the same thing here. Click to edit max value, 15. So now I can see a little bit beyond. You could have also double-clicked, I think, or gone to more. So I double-clicked and it brought up this option, and I can change the scaling here as well. Just click more, and you can change the scaling. So there are a few different options on that. One of the key things I want you to pay attention to is when you do the scaling, I do want to be able to see the vertical intercept. So whenever you change the scaling, make sure the vertical intercept is visible. Right now, the vertical intercept is somewhere down here. That's not good enough. So change the scaling so you can see it. Now we'll look at curve fitting. So now that you have your data, you can select. I'm just clicking and dragging to select all of my dots. You'll notice it grays out those indicating their selection in both the data table and the graph. I can click on this little button up here and it says curve fit. I've got a lot of options, so I could try proportional, and I try it. Proportional fit is a straight line that must go through 0, 0. That doesn't seem to be a very good fit for us. So linear, try fit. That one looks really good for my made-up data. It gives me a slope value, an intercept value, and a correlation of exactly 1, which is pretty good. Just for fun, I could check quadratic, try fit. Again, it gives me numbers, an RMSE. This number is a little confusing. 1.9340 times 10, that's what that symbol means, to the negative 21. It's about 0. So about 0 error. It's another really good fit. This term here is also pretty confusing. Negative 4.325 times 10 to the negative 21. Essentially, that's 0. So if the A term is 0, then the AT squared goes away, leaving us just with these terms, which makes it pretty much linear. Just for fun, I could do the cubic. And the same thing. I see these C and D terms, which are our higher orders, our power of 2 and power of 3. Those pretty much go away, but look, there's no error. All these other ones I could do also. It's going to end up linear. Okay. So it draws me my line of best fit, gives me the slope, gives me the intercept. Because I changed units in the data table, the computer knows what my units are, and it will tell me my units on the slope and the intercept, which is nice. It also tells me a correlation value and an amount of error, which says none. Not that it's necessary on this one, but sometimes our data is a little jagged and you can change which points are included. So if you have one point that seems to be a little bit off on the beginning or the end, you can choose to not include it. Right now I'm not including this point. It didn't have any impact on this, on the fit, because I had perfect made-up data. But if we had real data, we might have seen a difference. Anyhow, that's pretty much it for the basic use of LoggerPro for data entry and data analysis.